Kill your weak self. Rebuild with discipline. Have you ever looked at your life and realized that your biggest enemy isn't other people? It's not bad luck. It's not your circumstances. It's not the economy. It's not your past. It's the weak version of yourself that you've allowed to survive. The version that makes excuses. The version that chooses comfort over growth. The version that quits when things become difficult. The version that waits for motivation instead of building discipline. Most people spend years fighting battles on the outside while completely ignoring the battle within. And that's why they stay stuck. The Stoics understood something that modern society desperately tries to avoid. If you want a better life, you must first destroy the habits, beliefs, and behaviors that are keeping you weak. You cannot become stronger while protecting your weaknesses. You cannot become disciplined while feeding your distractions. You cannot become exceptional while living like everyone else. The person you want to become is trapped behind the person you are unwilling to let go. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that every day he would face challenges, difficult people, setbacks, and frustrations. Yet he never allowed those things to control him. Because true power does not come from controlling the world. True power comes from controlling yourself. Think about your life honestly. How many opportunities have you lost because of fear? How many goals have you abandoned because discipline disappeared? How many times have you promised yourself that tomorrow would be different? Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Next month becomes another year. And suddenly years have passed. The dream remains the same. But you remain the same too. This is the tragedy of weakness. Weakness doesn't destroy your life in one day. It steals your future one decision at a time. One excuse. One distraction. One moment of laziness. One act of cowardice. Until eventually you wake up and realize that you have become a stranger to your own potential. Today, that changes. Today is not about motivation. Motivation is temporary. Today is about discipline. Discipline is what remains when motivation disappears. Discipline is waking up when you don't feel like it. Discipline is working when nobody is watching. Discipline is staying committed long after excitement has faded. The strongest people in history were not stronger because life was easier for them. They became stronger because they learned to master themselves. And that's exactly what you're going to learn in this video. We're going to expose the habits that make people weak. We're going to uncover the mindset that keeps millions trapped in mediocrity. And we're going to build the discipline needed to transform your life. But before we continue, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join a community dedicated to self-mastery, resilience, discipline, and timeless Stoic wisdom. If you're ready to kill your weak self and rebuild into someone stronger, wiser, and impossible to break, stay with me until the end. Your transformation starts now. Chapter 1. The Comfort Trap. Weakness rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock on your door and tell you it's about to ruin your future. Instead, it arrives disguised as comfort. Comfort is one of the most dangerous addictions in modern life. The desire to avoid discomfort controls millions of people. People avoid difficult conversations. They avoid challenges. They avoid risks. They avoid responsibility. And while they are busy protecting themselves from temporary discomfort, they unknowingly sacrifice their potential. The Stoics understood that comfort is not the purpose of life. Growth is. Strength is. Wisdom is. Character is. Yet every one of those things requires discomfort. Think about it. A muscle becomes stronger only when it faces resistance. A mind becomes wiser only when it faces challenges. A character becomes stronger only when it faces adversity. Without resistance, nothing grows. Without struggle, nothing develops. Without discomfort, there is no transformation. Most people spend their lives chasing pleasure and running from pain. The Stoic does the opposite. The Stoic embraces necessary pain because he understands its value. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacle is not your enemy. The obstacle is your teacher. Every challenge contains a lesson. Every hardship contains an opportunity. Every setback contains a chance to become stronger, but only if you are willing to face it. Most people never discover their true strength because they never push beyond their comfort zone. They remain trapped inside a prison whose walls are built from fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of uncertainty, fear of judgment. And so they remain exactly where they are, year after year, dream after dream, opportunity after opportunity. Their lives become a monument to unrealized potential, not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting despite fear. The Stoics were never fearless. They simply refused to let fear make decisions for them. Imagine what your life would look like if fear no longer controlled your actions. How many opportunities would you pursue? How many goals would you chase? How many dreams would become reality? The answer is simple. Your life would change completely. But that transformation requires sacrifice. You must sacrifice comfort. You must sacrifice excuses. You must sacrifice the version of yourself that prefers ease over growth. Because comfort has a hidden cost. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you become weaker. Every time you choose distraction over purpose, you become weaker. Every time you choose excuses over responsibility, you become weaker. The choice may seem small in the moment, but repeated daily, it shapes your destiny. A weak life is built one comfortable decision at a time. A strong life is built one disciplined decision at a time. The difference between success and failure often comes down to what you do when nobody is watching. When the alarm rings. When you're tired. When motivation disappears. When life becomes difficult. That is where character is revealed. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Anyone can stay committed when everything is going well. The true test comes when circumstances become difficult. Can you remain disciplined then? Can you continue moving forward then? Can you stay committed then? Because that is where greatness is born. Not in comfort, not in convenience, but in resistance. The modern world encourages weakness.
Il t'encourage instant gratification.
It encourages endless entertainment. It encourages dependency. It encourages distraction. Every day, countless voices compete for your attention. Every notification. The weak wait for confidence. The strong build confidence through repetition. The weak wait for motivation. The strong rely on discipline. Which person will you become? That decision belongs to you. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because every day you delay is another day your weaker self survives. And every day your weaker self survives, your stronger self remains trapped. If you truly want to transform your life, then stop negotiating with weakness. Stop making deals with laziness. Stop compromising with fear. Stop feeding distractions. Start doing difficult things deliberately. Wake up earlier. Train harder. Focus longer. Complain less. Take responsibility. Tell the truth. Keep your promises. Do the work. Again and again. Day after day. Until discipline becomes your identity. Because once discipline becomes who you are, strength follows naturally. And when strength becomes your foundation, nothing in life can easily break you. Chapter 2. Kill the habit of excuses. If comfort is the prison, excuses are the chains. Nothing destroys potential faster than the habit of making excuses. Excuses are dangerous because they sound reasonable. They sound intelligent. They sound justified. And that is exactly why they are so powerful. Nobody wakes up and says, "Today I will sabotage my future." Instead, they say, "I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. I'll do it when circumstances improve. I need to wait for the perfect moment." Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. And the perfect moment never arrives. The Stoics believed that one of the greatest forms of self-deception is blaming external circumstances for internal weakness. Most people spend their lives pointing fingers. They blame their parents. They blame society. They blame bad luck. They blame difficult people. They blame the economy. They blame everything except the one person responsible for changing their lives: themselves. This does not mean that life is fair. Life is not fair. Some people begin with advantages. Others begin with obstacles. Some people receive opportunities. Others must create them. The Stoics never denied this reality. But they understood something even more important. You cannot control the hand life deals you. You can only control how you play it. The moment you accept responsibility for your life, your power returns. Responsibility is not a burden. Responsibility is freedom. When you stop blaming the world, you stop waiting for the world to change. And when you stop waiting, you begin acting. That is where transformation begins. Ask yourself honestly, how many goals have you postponed because of excuses? How many opportunities have you missed because fear disguised itself as logic? How many dreams remain unfinished because you convinced yourself that the timing wasn't right? The truth is difficult to hear. Most people are not held back by lack of talent. They are held back by lack of accountability. They know what they need to do. They simply refuse to do it consistently. The Stoics were ruthless when it came to personal responsibility. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that he was responsible for his own thoughts, actions, and character. He understood that no one could do the inner work for him. And the same is true for you. Nobody can build your discipline for you. Nobody can develop your character for you. Nobody can master your mind for you. That responsibility belongs entirely to you. And while that may sound harsh, it is actually empowering. Because if your life is your responsibility, then your future is also in your hands. You are not powerless. You are not helpless. You are not trapped. You are capable of change. But first, you must stop protecting your excuses. Many people treat their excuses like treasured possessions. They defend them. They repeat them. They build entire identities around them. The excuse becomes their comfort zone. And eventually, they become emotionally attached to the very thing that's destroying them. The excuse gives them temporary relief, but it steals permanent growth. Every excuse protects weakness. Every excuse delays progress. Every excuse makes the next excuse easier. This is how weakness grows. Not through one major failure, but through thousands of small justifications. The man who says he will train tomorrow. The woman who says she will begin next month. The student who says he will focus later. The entrepreneur who waits for confidence before starting. Each of them believes there is still plenty of time. But time is the one resource that never returns. Every day wasted is gone forever. Every hour lost belongs to the past. Every opportunity ignored becomes another regret. The Stoics were deeply aware of this truth. That is why they treated time as sacred. Seneca wrote that people protect their money carefully but waste their time carelessly. Think about that. People become angry when they lose a few dollars. Yet they willingly waste years of their lives. Hours disappear scrolling endlessly. Days disappear procrastinating. Months disappear chasing distractions. Years disappear living below their potential. And then one day they wonder where their life went. The answer is simple. It disappeared one excuse at a time. The disciplined person understands something different. They understand that action is always available. Conditions don't need to be perfect. The weather doesn't need to cooperate. Motivation doesn't need to appear. Feelings don't need to align. Action can begin immediately. This separates strong people from weak people. Weak people act when they feel ready. Strong people act whether they feel ready or not. Weak people seek comfort. Strong people seek growth. Weak people wait for opportunities. Strong people create opportunities. The difference may seem small, but over years, it changes everything. Imagine two people. Both have the same dream. Both have similar abilities. Both want success. The first person waits for ideal conditions. The second person begins immediately. 1 year later, who is ahead? 5 years later, who is ahead? 10 years later, who has transformed their life? The answer is obvious. Action compounds. Just as money compounds through investment, discipline compounds through daily effort. Every disciplined action strengthens your character. Every difficult task completed builds confidence. Every promise kept strengthens self-respect. The strongest people are not born stronger. They become stronger through repetition. They become stronger through consistency. They become stronger through refusing to negotiate with weakness. This is the mindset you must develop. When your mind says later, choose now. When your mind says rest, ask if you've earned it. When your mind says quit, take one more step. When your mind says I can't, prove it wrong. Because weakness speaks through excuses. Strength speaks through action. And every day you have an opportunity to choose which voice you will follow. Remember this. Your future self is watching. The person you become 5 years from now is being created by the decisions you make today. Every excuse shapes that person. Every action shapes that person. Every habit shapes that person. The future version of yourself will either thank you or regret you. The choice is yours. You can continue feeding excuses, or you can begin starving them. You can continue waiting, or you can begin acting. You can continue protecting weakness, or you can destroy it. Because the moment excuses lose their power over you, discipline begins to take control. And when discipline takes control, your entire life starts to change. Not overnight, not instantly, but steadily, day by day, decision by decision, until one day you look back and realize that the weak version of yourself no longer exists. Only the disciplined version remains. Chapter 3. Discipline is greater than motivation. One of the biggest lies modern culture tells people is this: wait until you feel motivated. At first, that advice sounds harmless, but it has quietly destroyed countless dreams. Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you wake up feeling inspired. Other days you wake up feeling exhausted. Some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you question everything. If your actions depend on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. The Stoics understood a truth that many people still struggle to accept. You do not need to feel like doing something in order to do it. Read that again. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to feel inspired. You do not need to feel confident. You simply need to act. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. That is why discipline is far more valuable than motivation. Motivation can get you started. Discipline keeps you moving. Motivation can light a fire. Discipline keeps the fire burning. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is dependable. Think about the most successful people you've ever seen. Do you believe they wake up every morning feeling motivated? Of course not. There are days when they feel tired. Days when they feel discouraged. Days when they want to quit. The difference is that they don't allow those feelings to control their behavior. They have trained themselves to act anyway. That is true strength. Most people are slaves to their emotions. If they feel good, they work. If they feel bad, they stop. If they feel confident, they act. If they feel uncertain, they retreat. Their emotions become their master. The Stoic chooses a different path. The Stoic becomes the master. The Stoic understands that emotions are temporary visitors. They come. They stay for a while. Then they leave. But principles remain. Commitment remains.
Discipline remain.
Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to stop debating whether something was difficult and simply do what was required. Imagine how much your life would change if you adopted that mindset. Imagine waking up and no longer asking, "Do I feel like working today?" Instead, you ask, "What must be done today?" That single shift changes everything. Because successful people focus on obligations. Unsuccessful people focus on feelings. The disciplined person understands something powerful. Feelings are not commands. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you must stop. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you must retreat. Just because you feel doubt doesn't mean you must quit. Feelings provide information. They do not provide instructions. Too many people confuse the two. They obey every emotion that enters their mind. And as a result, their lives become chaotic. One day they are committed. The next day they are distracted. One day they are focused. The next day they are lazy. One day they are determined. The next day they are discouraged. They are constantly changing direction because they are constantly chasing feelings. Discipline ends that cycle. Discipline creates stability. Discipline creates consistency. Discipline creates progress. And progress creates confidence. Notice that confidence comes after action, not before. Many people say, "I'll start when I feel confident." But confidence is earned. It is built through repeated action. A person becomes confident in the gym by training consistently. A person becomes confident speaking by practicing consistently. A person becomes confident leading by taking responsibility consistently. Confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a reward. The disciplined person understands this. That is why they begin before they feel ready. Because they know readiness is often an illusion. There will never be a perfect time. There will never be perfect conditions. There will never be complete certainty. Waiting for those things is simply another form of procrastination. The Stoics taught that action should be based on reason, not emotion. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? Then act like that person today. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Today. If you want to become disciplined, practice discipline. If you want to become courageous, practice courage. If you want to become resilient, practice resilience. Character is built through repeated behavior. Every action casts a vote for the person you are becoming. Every choice matters. Every habit matters. Every day matters. The weak version of yourself hopes for change. The disciplined version creates change. The weak version waits for motivation. The disciplined version works regardless. The weak version seeks shortcuts. The disciplined version embraces the process. This is why discipline is so rare. Most people want results. Few people want the process required to achieve them. Everyone wants strength. Few want struggle. Everyone wants success. Few want sacrifice. Everyone wants confidence. Few want consistency. But the rewards belong to those who are willing to do what others avoid. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that greatness is not created through dramatic moments. It is created through ordinary actions repeated daily. A single workout won't transform your body. A single day of focus won't transform your life. A single act of courage won't transform your character. But repeated consistently over time, these actions become powerful. This is the magic of discipline. Small actions become extraordinary results. One disciplined day becomes a disciplined week. One disciplined week becomes a disciplined month. One disciplined month becomes a disciplined year. And eventually, a disciplined year becomes a completely different life. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. Why? Because they focus on immediate results. The Stoic focuses on long-term transformation. The Stoic plants seeds knowing that growth takes time. The Stoic remains patient while others quit. The Stoic continues while others become distracted. The Stoic trusts the process. And that is exactly what you must learn to do. Stop looking for quick fixes. Stop chasing motivation. Stop searching for secrets. The secret is discipline. The answer has always been discipline. The path has always been discipline. Wake up and do the work. Tired? Do the work. Unmotivated? Do the work. Discouraged? Do the work. Afraid? Do the work. Because every time you act despite resistance, you become stronger. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you become stronger. Every time you honor your commitments, you become stronger. And eventually, something remarkable happens. Discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes part of your identity. You no longer need to force yourself. You no longer need constant motivation. You no longer need perfect circumstances. You simply do what must be done. That is when true freedom begins. Because the strongest person is not the one who can control others. The strongest person is the one who can control themselves. And once you master yourself, very little in this world can stand in your way. Chapter 4. Master your mind or be ruled by it. There is a battle taking place every single day. Most people never see it. They think their greatest challenges are outside of them. They believe their enemies are difficult people, financial problems, bad luck, or unfortunate circumstances. But the Stoics understood something deeper. The greatest battle is within. It is the battle between reason and impulse, between discipline and temptation, between strength and weakness. And the battlefield is your mind. If you cannot control your mind, you will never truly control your life. Your thoughts shape your actions. Your actions shape your habits. Your habits shape your character. And your character shapes your destiny. This is why mastering the mind is one of the most important skills a person can develop. Most people spend their lives reacting. A problem appears. They panic. Someone criticizes them. They become angry. Something doesn't go according to plan. They become frustrated. An obstacle appears. They become discouraged. Their emotions constantly control their behavior. As a result, they live as prisoners of circumstance. The Stoic chooses another path. The Stoic understands that events themselves are not the problem. The problem is often the meaning we attach to those events. Two people can face the same setback. One sees disaster. The other sees opportunity. One gives up. The other grows stronger. The event is the same. The interpretation is different. And that difference changes everything. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that if something external causes distress, the distress comes not from the thing itself, but from our judgment about it. Think about how powerful that idea is. Many of the things that steal your peace are not actually controlling you. Your thoughts about them are.
Unshakable.
A failed attempt. A difficult day. A rejection. A setback. None of these things have the power to destroy you, unless you allow them to control your mind. Most suffering begins long before reality demands it. A person worries about something that hasn't happened. They imagine failure. They imagine embarrassment. They imagine rejection. They imagine disaster. And then they suffer from situations that exist only in their imagination. The Stoics warned against this habit. Why? Because the mind often creates problems larger than reality itself. Fear grows when fed by imagination. Anxiety grows when fed by uncertainty. Weakness grows when fed by negative thinking. The disciplined mind refuses to participate in unnecessary suffering. It focuses on facts, not fantasies.
Reality.
Not assumptions. Action, not endless worry. Ask yourself honestly. How many hours have you spent worrying about things that never happened? How many nights have been lost to fears that never became reality? How much energy has been wasted fighting imaginary battles? The answer for most people is far too much. The mind can be a powerful servant, but it is a terrible master. When left uncontrolled, it drifts toward fear. It drifts toward doubt. It drifts toward distraction. It drifts toward negativity. This is why mental discipline is essential. You must train your mind just as you train your body. Imagine a garden. If you ignore it completely, what happens? Weeds begin to grow. Soon the weeds take over. The same thing happens in the mind. Negative thoughts are mental weeds. Doubt is a weed. Fear is a weed. Self-pity is a weed. Excuses are weeds. If you do not actively remove them, they will dominate your thinking. And eventually they will dominate your life. Strong people understand this. They guard their minds carefully. They pay attention to what they consume. They pay attention to what they believe. They pay attention to what they repeat to themselves daily. Because every repeated thought becomes stronger. Every repeated thought creates a pattern. And every pattern eventually becomes a habit. If you constantly tell yourself that life is unfair, your mind will search for evidence. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, your mind will search for evidence. If you constantly tell yourself that success is impossible, your mind will search for evidence. The mind tends to believe whatever it hears repeatedly. This is why your internal dialogue matters. The words you speak to yourself become your reality. Most people would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. They criticize themselves constantly. They doubt themselves constantly. They attack themselves constantly. Then they wonder why their confidence disappears. The Stoic understands that self-mastery begins with self-awareness. You must observe your thoughts. Question them. Challenge them. Refuse to believe every thought that enters your mind. Not every thought deserves your trust. Not every emotion deserves obedience. Not every fear deserves attention. You have the power to choose which thoughts you nurture and which thoughts you reject. That choice determines your future. The disciplined mind also understands the importance of focus. Modern society profits from distraction. Every day, countless things compete for your attention.
Notification.
News. Entertainment.
Drama.
Arguments. Opinions. Noise. The result is a generation that struggles to concentrate. A scattered mind cannot create a focused life. A distracted mind cannot build greatness. A distracted mind remains weak. Focus is a superpower. When you learn to direct your attention intentionally, your productivity increases. Your discipline increases. Your confidence increases. Your results improve. Everything begins to change. The Stoics knew that attention is one of life's most valuable resources. Where attention goes, energy follows. Where energy follows, results appear. That is why you must become ruthless about protecting your focus. Protect your mind from negativity. Protect your mind from distractions. Protect your mind from unnecessary drama. Protect your mind from people who constantly drain your energy. Your mind is the command center of your life. Guard it carefully. Because if you fail to master your mind, someone else will gladly influence it for you. The strongest person in the room is often not the smartest, not the richest, not the most talented. The strongest person is the one who remains calm when others panic, focused when others are distracted, disciplined when others are emotional, rational when others are impulsive. That strength comes from mental mastery. And mental mastery is available to anyone willing to train for it. Every day is an opportunity to strengthen your mind, an opportunity to improve your focus, an opportunity to challenge negative thinking, an opportunity to choose discipline over impulse. Because every victory over your mind becomes a victory in your life. And every defeat within your mind eventually becomes a defeat outside of it. Remember this. Your mind can become your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. The choice is made daily, thought by thought, decision by decision, moment by moment. Master your mind, or be ruled by it. There is no middle ground. Chapter 5. Stop seeking validation and become unshakable. One of the greatest weaknesses a person can carry is the need for approval. It looks harmless on the surface. In fact, many people don't even realize they are controlled by it. But the desire for validation has quietly destroyed countless dreams, weakened countless minds, and kept countless people trapped in lives they never truly wanted. Think about it. How many decisions have people made simply because they were afraid of what others might think? How many opportunities have been missed because someone feared criticism? How many talents have remained hidden because someone wanted everyone's approval? The need to be liked is one of the most powerful prisons in existence. And the worst part is that most people build that prison themselves. The Stoics understood something that modern society often forgets. You cannot live freely if your happiness depends on the opinions of others. The moment your self-worth depends on external validation, you surrender control of your life. You become emotionally dependent on praise. You become fearful of criticism. You become vulnerable to manipulation. And eventually, you stop living according to your values and start living according to expectations. This is where weakness begins. Because approval seeking slowly disconnects you from your true self. Instead of asking, "What is right?" you begin asking, "What will people think?" Instead of asking, "What do I believe?" you begin asking, "What will make others accept me?" This shift may seem small, but over time, it changes everything. Many people spend years wearing masks. They pretend to be someone they are not. They hide their real thoughts. They suppress their ambitions. They silence their voice, all because they fear judgment. But here's the truth. No matter what you do, some people will criticize you. No matter how hard you try, some people will dislike you. No matter how successful you become, some people will doubt you. You cannot escape criticism. The Stoics knew this, and because they knew it, they stopped allowing criticism to control them. Imagine how much freedom you would experience if you truly accepted this reality. Imagine waking up every day and no longer feeling the need to impress anyone. Imagine pursuing your goals without worrying about approval. Imagine speaking honestly without fear of judgment. Imagine becoming completely comfortable being misunderstood. That is freedom. That is strength. That is self-mastery. Most people are terrified of being judged. But judgment is unavoidable. The question is not whether people will judge you. The question is whether their judgment will control you. The weak person changes direction every time someone disagrees. The strong person remains anchored to their principles. The weak person seeks applause. The strong person seeks truth. The weak person follows the crowd. The strong person follows their values. This is why the Stoics placed such importance on character. Character remains stable when opinions change. Character remains strong when praise disappears. Character remains firm when criticism arrives. A person with strong character does not need constant reassurance. They do not need endless compliments. They do not need approval from strangers. They know who they are. And because they know who they are, they cannot be easily shaken. One of the greatest signs of maturity is becoming comfortable with disapproval. Not because you enjoy conflict, not because you seek arguments, but because you understand that living authentically sometimes requires disappointing others. You cannot please everyone, and attempting to do so will eventually destroy your peace. Think about the people you admire most. The leaders, the innovators, the visionaries, the people who changed history. Do you think they were universally accepted? Of course not. Many were criticized. Many were rejected. Many were misunderstood. Yet they continued anyway, because they valued purpose more than popularity. This is a lesson worth remembering. Popularity is temporary. Character is lasting. Approval is temporary.
Integrity is lasting.
Attention is temporary.
Self-respect is lasting.
The Stoics focused on what lasts. They understood that external praise comes and goes. One day people admire you. The next day they criticize you. If your confidence depends on their opinions, your confidence will constantly fluctuate. But if your confidence comes from your principles, it becomes stable. And stability is power. Many people confuse confidence with arrogance, but they are not the same.
Arrogance seeks validation.
True confidence does not. Arrogance constantly needs attention. True confidence remains calm. Arrogance wants recognition. True confidence focuses on purpose. The most confident people are often the least concerned with impressing others. Why? Because they derive their worth from within. They know their values. They know their mission. They know their standards. and that knowledge creates inner strength. The Stoics practiced this daily. They constantly examined themselves, not to impress others, not to gain approval, but to improve their character. Their goal was not to look strong. Their goal was to become strong. There is a massive difference. Many people spend more time managing appearances than improving reality. They want to appear disciplined, appear successful, appear wise, appear confident. But appearances are fragile. Reality is what matters. The disciplined person doesn't need everyone to know they're disciplined. The wise person doesn't need everyone to know they're wise. The strong person doesn't need everyone to know they're strong. Their actions speak for them. Their results speak for them. Their character speaks for them. That is why the Stoics valued quiet excellence. They focused on becoming rather than appearing. And that mindset made them resilient, because external opinions could not easily affect them. This is the mindset you must cultivate. Stop chasing validation. Stop measuring your worth through likes, comments, praise, or recognition. Stop allowing strangers to determine how you feel about yourself. Instead, focus on becoming the kind of person you respect. Build integrity. Build discipline. Build courage. Build wisdom. Build character. These things cannot be taken away by criticism. These things cannot be destroyed by rejection. These things remain with you regardless of what others think. And when you build your life upon these foundations, something remarkable happens. You become unshakable. The world may criticize you. Remain steady. The world may misunderstand you. Remain steady. The world may doubt you. Remain steady. Because your confidence no longer depends on the crowd. It depends on your character. And character is stronger than approval. Always. The day you stop seeking validation is the day you begin reclaiming your freedom. The day you stop needing everyone's approval is the day you become dangerous. Because a person who no longer fears judgment becomes capable of extraordinary things. And that is exactly the person you are becoming. Lessons you will ever learn. Temporary discomfort is often the price of lasting freedom. And lasting freedom is worth the price. The next time hardship enters your life, remember this. You are not being destroyed. You are being tested. You are being shaped. You are being strengthened. The fire that melts weak metal also forges strong steel. The same challenge that breaks one person can build another. The difference lies in perspective. The difference lies in mindset. The difference lies in how you choose to respond. So stop asking life to become easier. Become stronger. Stop wishing for fewer obstacles. Develop greater resilience. Stop fearing pain. Learn from it. Use it. Grow through it. Because every challenge you overcome becomes evidence of your strength. Every hardship endured becomes proof of your resilience. And every difficult season survived becomes a reminder that you are capable of far more than you once believed. The path to greatness has never been comfortable. The path to greatness has always required sacrifice. And those who embrace that truth become impossible to break. Chapter 7. The Power of Solitude. Why strong men learn to walk alone. One of the most misunderstood forms of strength is the ability to be alone. Most people fear solitude. The moment they are alone with their thoughts, they reach for distractions. They open social media. They turn on music. They watch videos. They call someone. They do anything to avoid silence. But the Stoics understood something powerful. A person who cannot be alone has not yet learned to master themselves. Solitude is not loneliness. The two are very different. Loneliness is feeling empty when nobody is around. Solitude is feeling complete even when you stand alone. One comes from dependence. The other comes from strength. Many people spend their lives surrounded by others yet feel deeply lonely. Why? Because they have never developed a relationship with themselves. They know everyone else's opinions, everyone else's problems, everyone else's expectations, but they do not know themselves. And until you know yourself, true confidence remains impossible. The Stoics valued solitude because solitude creates self-awareness. When the noise disappears, truth becomes easier to hear. When distractions fade, reality becomes clearer. When you are alone, there is nowhere to hide. No audience, no performance, no mask. Only you and your thoughts. That can be uncomfortable. In fact, it often is. Because many people spend years avoiding the truths they need to confront. They avoid their fears, their weaknesses, their regrets, their insecurities. But growth begins the moment avoidance ends. Growth begins when you are willing to sit quietly and examine your own mind. Marcus Aurelius spent countless hours reflecting on his thoughts and actions. Despite being one of the most powerful men in the world, he constantly looked inward. He understood that self-mastery requires self-examination. Most people spend their lives analyzing others. The Stoic analyzes himself. Most people criticize others. The Stoic corrects himself. Most people seek external answers. The Stoic develops internal wisdom. This difference changes everything. Because the quality of your life is directly connected to the quality of your self-awareness. If you do not understand yourself, you will repeat the same mistakes, the same patterns, the same weaknesses, the same habits, again and again. But when you develop self-awareness, transformation becomes possible. You begin noticing destructive behaviors. You begin identifying limiting beliefs. You begin recognizing emotional triggers. And once you see them clearly, you can begin changing them. This is one of the greatest gifts of solitude. It reveals the truth. And truth is often uncomfortable before it becomes liberating. The modern world constantly pushes people toward the crowd. Follow the trend. Follow the majority. Follow public opinion. Seek approval. Fit in. But the strongest individuals in history were often willing to stand alone. Not because they hated people, but because they valued truth more than acceptance. There will be moments in your life when growth requires separation. Not permanent isolation, but temporary distance. Distance from distractions. Distance from negativity. Distance from people who constantly pull you away from your purpose. Sometimes growth requires silence. Sometimes growth requires focus. Sometimes growth requires walking a path that others do not understand. Many people will not understand your discipline. They will not understand your goals. They will not understand your sacrifices. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey. One of the clearest signs of maturity is becoming comfortable being misunderstood. The weak person constantly seeks agreement. The strong person remains committed to what is right, even when nobody applauds, even when nobody notices, even when nobody understands. Because true strength is not dependent on an audience. A lion does not need permission to be powerful. A disciplined person does not need validation to remain committed. The Stoics understood this deeply. They focused on internal approval rather than external approval. Their question was simple. Can I respect myself? Will everyone approve of me? This mindset creates freedom. Imagine how much energy you would reclaim if you stopped worrying about everyone's opinions. Imagine how much progress you would make if you stopped comparing yourself to others. Imagine how much peace you would experience if you stopped seeking constant validation. That peace begins in solitude, because solitude teaches self-reliance. It teaches emotional independence. It teaches inner stability. A person who can sit alone in silence and remain at peace possesses a rare form of strength. Why? Because they are no longer running from themselves. They are no longer dependent on external distractions. They are no longer afraid of their own thoughts. They have learned to be their own companion. And that skill becomes incredibly valuable during difficult times. Life will not always provide support. There will be seasons when you must rely on yourself. Seasons when friends disappear. Seasons when people doubt you. Seasons when nobody understands what you're building. In those moments, self-reliance becomes essential. The person who has developed inner strength can endure those seasons. The person who depends entirely on others often collapses. This is why solitude should be practiced intentionally. Spend time alone. Reflect. Think. Journal. Examine your actions. Examine your habits. Examine your beliefs. Ask difficult questions. Challenge weak thinking. Strengthen your character. Use solitude as a tool for growth, not as an escape. The purpose of solitude is not to avoid the world. The purpose of solitude is to prepare yourself for the world. The strongest warriors sharpen their weapons before entering battle. The strongest minds sharpen themselves through reflection. And reflection requires silence. Remember this. The crowd is often wrong. The majority is often distracted. The masses are often chasing comfort. If you want extraordinary results, you cannot always follow ordinary paths. Sometimes you must walk alone. Sometimes you must trust yourself. Sometimes you must remain committed when nobody else believes. That is not weakness. That is courage. The path of self-mastery has always required independence, not arrogance, not isolation, but independence. The ability to stand on your own principles. The ability to trust your own judgment. The ability to remain calm without constant reassurance. That is real strength. And as you continue this journey, you will discover something remarkable. The more comfortable you become with solitude, the less power the world has over you. Because a person who is at peace alone cannot easily be manipulated, cannot easily be controlled, cannot easily be broken. And that is exactly the kind of person you are becoming. A person who no longer depends on the crowd. A person who draws strength from within. A person who walks their path with courage, discipline, and purpose, even when they must walk it alone. Chapter 8. Control your emotions before they control you. A single moment of uncontrolled emotion can destroy years of progress. One burst of anger. One impulsive decision. One emotional reaction. Sometimes that is all it takes. The Stoics understood this danger better than most. They knew that emotions are powerful, but they also knew that emotions make terrible leaders. When emotions take control, reason disappears. Judgment becomes clouded. Perspective becomes distorted. And people often make decisions they later regret. Look around you. How many relationships have been destroyed by uncontrolled anger? How many opportunities have been lost because of fear? How many dreams have died because someone surrendered to doubt? How many lives have been damaged by impulsive decisions made in emotional moments? The answer is countless. This is why emotional mastery is one of the highest forms of strength. Most people think strength means physical power. The Stoics disagreed. True strength is maintaining control when your emotions demand surrender. True strength is remaining calm when others panic. True strength is thinking clearly when everyone else is reacting emotionally. Anyone can remain composed when life is easy. The real test comes when life becomes difficult. Can you remain calm when someone insults you? Can you remain patient when things don't go your way? Can you remain rational when fear enters your mind? Can you remain disciplined when frustration appears? That is the challenge. That is where self-mastery begins. One of the greatest misconceptions about Stoicism is that it teaches people not to feel emotions. That is not true. Stoics felt emotions just like everyone else. They experienced anger, fear, sadness, disappointment,
Frustration.
The difference is that they refused to become slaves to those emotions. They acknowledged them, observed them, learned from them, but they did not allow them to take control. This distinction is important. Suppressing emotions is unhealthy. Being controlled by emotions is equally dangerous. The Stoic path lies in the middle. Feel the emotion. Understand the emotion. Then choose your response carefully, because between what happens and how you respond, there is a space. And within that space lies your power. Most people react instantly. Something happens. They explode. They panic. They complain. They blame. They surrender to impulse. The Stoic pauses. That pause changes everything. The pause creates clarity. The pause creates wisdom. The pause creates control. A calm mind sees what an emotional mind cannot. This is why emotional discipline is so valuable. It allows you to make decisions based on reason rather than impulse. And reason almost always produces better results. Consider anger. Anger itself is not necessarily the problem. The problem is what people do when anger controls them. An angry person says things they later regret, makes decisions they later regret, destroys relationships they later regret, all because they allowed a temporary emotion to create permanent consequences. The Stoics viewed anger as one of the most destructive forces in human life, not because anger exists, but because anger often destroys judgment. And once judgment disappears, mistakes follow. The same principle applies to fear. Fear can be useful. It can warn you of danger. It can increase awareness. But when fear becomes excessive, it becomes a prison. Many people never pursue their goals because fear controls them. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of uncertainty. They wait until fear disappears. But fear rarely disappears completely. The courageous person acts despite fear. The disciplined person moves forward despite fear. The Stoic understands that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. Every meaningful achievement requires courage. Every meaningful achievement requires emotional control. Without emotional control, fear becomes the decision maker. And fear rarely leads people toward growth. Then there is frustration, one of the most common emotional traps. Life will not always go according to plan. People will disappoint you. Mistakes will happen. Unexpected obstacles will appear. Frustration is natural. But frustration becomes dangerous when it controls behavior. Many people waste enormous amounts of energy fighting reality. They argue with what has already happened. They complain about circumstances they cannot change. They resist reality itself. The Stoics understood the futility of this. What has happened has happened. The question is not whether you like it. The question is what you will do next. This mindset creates resilience. Instead of becoming trapped by emotion, you move toward action. Instead of remaining stuck, you adapt. Instead of complaining, you solve problems. This is one of the greatest advantages of emotional mastery. It allows you to remain effective under pressure. Pressure reveals character. Pressure reveals discipline. Pressure reveals emotional strength. Anyone can appear composed when conditions are perfect, but pressure exposes the truth. When life becomes difficult, who are you? When challenges appear, who are you? When stress increases, who are you? Your answer determines your future. The strongest individuals develop emotional discipline long before they need it. They practice patience daily. They practice self-control daily. They practice calmness daily, because they know difficult moments are inevitable. Preparation matters. The person who trains their mind before adversity arrives is far more prepared when adversity appears. This is why the Stoics emphasized daily reflection. Every day was an opportunity to improve. Every day was an opportunity to strengthen character. Every day was an opportunity to develop greater control. And that control compounds over time. One calm response becomes a habit. One patient decision becomes a habit. One disciplined reaction becomes a habit. Eventually, emotional mastery becomes part of your identity. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop surrendering to every emotion. You stop allowing temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions. And when that happens, your life changes dramatically. Because emotions lose their power to control you. You become the one in control. Not anger, not fear, not frustration, not doubt. Remember this. An uncontrolled mind creates a chaotic life. A disciplined mind creates a powerful life. The person who masters their emotions gains an advantage that few people possess. Because while others are reacting, they are thinking. While others are panicking, they are planning. While others are surrendering, they are advancing. That is real strength. Not the strength to dominate others, but the strength to dominate yourself. And once you gain that strength, very little in this world can shake you. Because your peace no longer depends on circumstances. Your stability no longer depends on outcomes. Your confidence no longer depends on external events. Comes from within. And that kind of strength is nearly impossible to break. Chapter 9. The Discipline of Action. Stop waiting and start becoming. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must make a decision. A decision that separates dreamers from achievers. A decision that separates potential from reality. A decision that separates weakness from strength. That decision is simple. Will you continue waiting, or will you begin acting? Most people spend their lives waiting. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for confidence. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting for better circumstances. Waiting for permission. Waiting for someday. But someday is one of the most dangerous words in existence. Because someday rarely arrives. People say they'll start someday. They'll pursue their goals someday. They'll build discipline someday. They'll transform their lives someday. And before they know it, years have passed. The dream remains, but the action never came. The Stoics understood something that most people ignore. Life is happening now, not tomorrow, not next year, not when conditions improve. No. This moment is all you truly possess. The past cannot be changed. The future is not guaranteed. Only the present belongs to you. And yet countless people waste the present waiting for a future that may never arrive. Think about how much potential is lost because of hesitation. Ideas never pursued. Goals never attempted. Businesses never started. Books never written. Dreams never lived. All because someone waited too long. The fear of failure often disguises itself as preparation. People convince themselves they need more knowledge, more certainty, more confidence, more planning. Sometimes preparation is necessary, but often it becomes another excuse. A comfortable hiding place. A way to avoid the discomfort of action. Because action is risky. Action exposes you to failure. Action exposes you to criticism. Action exposes you to uncertainty. But action is also the only path to growth. The person who never acts never grows. The person who never risks never discovers what they are capable of. The person who never begins never arrives. This is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn. You do not become confident before taking action. You become confident because of action. Every accomplishment begins with uncertainty. Every success begins with imperfection. Every transformation begins with a first step. The first step is rarely glamorous. It is often awkward, messy, uncertain, difficult, but it matters. Because action creates momentum, and momentum changes everything. A stationary object is difficult to move, but once it begins moving, movement becomes easier. The same is true of your life. Starting is often the hardest part. Once you begin, progress becomes possible. This is why the Stoics emphasized action over endless contemplation. Wisdom without action is useless. Knowledge without action is powerless. Ideas without action remain fantasies. Action is what turns possibility into reality. The disciplined person understands this. They do not spend their lives talking about what they will do. They do it. They do not spend years announcing their plans. They execute them. They do not seek endless motivation. They build habits. Because habits are stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes.
Habit Romain.
The person who relies on motivation becomes inconsistent. The person who relies on discipline becomes unstoppable. This is where many people fail. They underestimate the importance of consistency. They want dramatic results, immediate transformation. instant success. But lasting success is built differently. It is built through repetition. One action repeated daily. One promise kept daily. One improvement made daily. These small actions appear insignificant until years pass. Then the difference becomes enormous. A disciplined life is not created through one heroic effort. It is created through thousands of ordinary actions performed consistently. Wake up on time. Keep your word. Do the work. Control your emotions. Improve your skills. Repeat again and again and again. The process may seem boring, but greatness is often boring. Greatness is repetition. Greatness is consistency. Greatness is discipline practiced longer than most people are willing to endure. Most people quit because they become impatient. They expect immediate rewards. When results don't arrive quickly, they lose faith. The Stoics understood that meaningful growth requires patience. A tree does not grow overnight. A strong body does not develop overnight. A disciplined mind does not emerge overnight. Everything worthwhile requires time. The question is whether you are willing to remain committed during that time. Can you continue when results are invisible? Can you continue when progress feels slow? Can you continue when nobody notices? Because that is where character is built. Not when success arrives, but while success is still being earned. The disciplined person trusts the process, even when the process feels difficult, even when the process feels repetitive, even when the process feels lonely. They continue because they understand that consistency eventually produces results, and results eventually produce confidence. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a week, but underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years. Why? Because they focus on immediate gratification. The Stoic focuses on long-term mastery. The Stoic understands that every day matters. Every decision matters. Every habit matters. Every action matters. Nothing is wasted when it contributes to growth. Every disciplined action strengthens your future. Every disciplined action weakens your old self. And eventually, a transformation occurs. Not suddenly. Not dramatically, but gradually. The weak version of you begins to disappear. The lazy version, the fearful version, the distracted version, the excuse-making version. One day you look back and realize that person no longer exists. A new person has taken their place. A stronger person, a wiser person, a more disciplined person. That transformation was not created by motivation. It was created by action, repeated action,
Consiste action.
disciplined action. This is why action is so powerful. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates momentum. Action creates results. And results create belief. The person who acts gains knowledge. The person who waits never receives. Because some lessons cannot be learned through thinking. They can only be learned through doing. This is your challenge. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop searching for the perfect moment. The perfect moment does not exist. There is only now. There is only this decision. There is only this opportunity. Take the first step, then take the second, then take the third. Do not focus on the entire journey. Focus on the next action. Then repeat, day after day, week after week, year after year, until discipline becomes your identity. Because once action becomes a habit, transformation becomes inevitable. And once transformation becomes inevitable, the life you once dreamed about starts becoming reality. Not because you wished for it, not because you waited for it, but because you earned it. Through action, through discipline, through relentless consistency. That is the path. And it has always been the path. Chapter 10. Become impossible to break. The final transformation. If you've stayed with me until this point, you've already done something most people never do. You've chosen growth over comfort. You've chosen truth over excuses. You've chosen discipline over distraction. And now, it's time to understand the final lesson. The goal was never to become perfect. The goal was never to eliminate every weakness overnight. The goal was never to create a life without challenges. The goal is to become impossible to break. Because life will continue testing you. There will still be difficult days. There will still be setbacks. There will still be disappointments. There will still be obstacles. But after everything you've learned, those things no longer have the power they once had. Why? Because you are no longer the same person. The weak version of yourself depended on motivation. The stronger version depends on discipline. The weak version avoided discomfort. The stronger version embraces growth. The weak version sought validation. The stronger version seeks character. The weak version blamed circumstances. The stronger version accepts responsibility. The weak version reacted emotionally. The stronger version responds with wisdom. This transformation changes everything. Most people spend their lives trying to control the world around them. The Stoics understood a different truth. Control yourself. Master yourself. Strengthen yourself. And the world loses much of its power over you. A storm may arrive, but a deeply rooted tree remains standing. Pressure may increase, but a disciplined mind remains calm. Criticism may come, but strong character remains steady. That is what you're building. Not temporary confidence. Not temporary motivation. Not temporary success. You are building something far more valuable. You are building resilience. The kind of resilience that survives failure. The kind of resilience that survives rejection. The kind of resilience that survives uncertainty. The kind of resilience that survives life's hardest moments. Because true strength is not measured by how high you rise when everything is easy. It is measured by how firmly you stand when everything becomes difficult. Think about the person you were when this journey began. The habits, the excuses, the fears, the limitations, the doubts. Now think about the person you are becoming. A person who acts despite fear. A person who remains disciplined when motivation disappears. A person who embraces responsibility. A person who values character over comfort. A person who controls their mind instead of being controlled by it. That person is powerful, not because they dominate others, but because they dominate themselves. And self-mastery is the highest form of power. History remembers those who mastered themselves, not because they were lucky, not because life was easy, but because they refused to surrender. They refused to let weakness define them. They refused to let circumstances control them. And now it is your turn. Your turn to reject excuses. Your turn to reject comfort. Your turn to reject the weak version of yourself. The transformation begins with a decision. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when conditions improve. Today. Right now. Decide that you will no longer negotiate with weakness. Decide that you will no longer delay your growth. Decide that you will no longer settle for less than your potential. Because every day you choose discipline, you become stronger. Every day you choose responsibility, you become wiser. Every day you choose courage, you become more resilient. And every day you continue this journey, the old version of yourself fades further into the past. One day people will ask what changed. They'll notice your focus, your discipline, your confidence, your calmness, your strength. But they won't see the countless decisions that created it. The early mornings, the difficult choices, the sacrifices, the moments you refused to quit, the moments you continued when nobody was watching. Those moments are what build greatness. Those moments are what build character. Those moments are what build an unbreakable person. Remember this. You do not need to be extraordinary today. You simply need to be better than yesterday. Small improvements compound. Small victories compound. Small acts of discipline compound. Given enough time, they become extraordinary. This is the Stoic path. Not perfection. Progress. Not comfort. Growth. Not weakness. Strength. Not excuses. Responsibility. Not surrender.
Discipline.
And as long as you continue walking this path, transformation becomes inevitable. Before you leave, subscribe to Stoic Ascension if you're committed to building discipline, mastering your mind, and becoming the strongest version of yourself. Every video on this channel is designed to help you develop resilience, self-control, wisdom, and the mindset needed to thrive in a difficult world. Join this growing community of individuals who refuse to remain weak. Subscribe now and continue your journey towards self-mastery. And remember, the strongest person is not the one who never falls. The strongest person is the one who rises every time they do. Your past does not define you. Your circumstances do not define you. Your fears do not define you. Your choices define you. Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose strength. And become impossible to break. Before you go, remember this. The person you are today is not the person you have to remain. Every act of discipline strengthens you. Every challenge you overcome builds your character. Every excuse you destroy brings you closer to the person you were meant to become. The weak version of yourself survives on comfort, distraction, and procrastination. The stronger version of yourself is built through discipline, focus, and action. The choice between those two versions is made every single day. Not once. Not occasionally. Every day. So when this video ends, don't just feel inspired. Take action. Make the difficult decision. Start the habit. Do the work. Keep the promise you made to yourself. And continue moving forward no matter how slow the progress may seem. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the struggles which once seemed impossible were actually the moments that made you stronger. If you found value in this video, subscribe to Stoic Ascension for more timeless Stoic wisdom, powerful lessons on discipline, and practical strategies for mastering your mind and transforming your life. Join thousands of others who are committed to becoming stronger, wiser, and impossible to break. Subscribe now and continue your journey towards self-mastery. Remember, a strong life is not built by chance. It is built by choice. Choose discipline. Choose growth. Choose strength. And become the person your weaker self could never be.